master the business of speaking with your hosts, Taylor and Austin. You're listening to Technically Speaking.
Welcome to another episode of Technically Speaking. We're your hosts, Taylor and Austin, and today we're untangling the web of speakers, bureaus, and management companies. Now, today we're talking with Arnold Sand, Chief of Client Relationships for ODE Speaker Management. And as a senior leader in the corporate events industry, Arnold has extensive experience negotiating, booking, and managing high-profile talent. He's honed win-to-win negotiating skill interfacing with just about every major agency, management company, and speakers bureau. Now, with over 30 years in the industry, let's just say Arnold knows a thing or two about what it really means to work with managers and bureaus and how speakers should properly leverage those relationships. So in today's episode, we unpack how the industry collaborates, when a good time to hire a management company is, and how to properly build a relationship with one. As always, stick around until the end to get this episode's resources, and we hope you like this one. And we have liftoff. I'm going to try and mix up the intro saying every time just to see, how that goes. So Arnold, anyway, welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. It's great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. So the rest of ODE Management is in Australia, right? But
Correct.
You're not in Australia?
I am not in Australia. I am in Los Angeles area, California.
Nice.
How did you link up with them?
How did I link up with ODE? It's a great story. There's a very well-known speaker. His name is Peter Sheehan. And I started out, I was 25 years on the bureau side of the business at SME Entertainment Group. And I had booked Peter to speak for one of my clients in Orlando. We had dinner, talked for about 2 hours about the industry, and he went on, did his presentation. Fast forward a couple of years to the International Association of Speakers Bureaus annual convention. We were in New Orleans at the House of Blues for a social event. I get a little tap on the shoulder, and it's Leanne Christie, the owner of ODE Management. And Leanne at the time, and still does, manages Peter Sheehan in Australia, New Zealand, that part of the world. And she said, Pete said some nice things about you. If you ever need a job, give me a call. And I was like, Leanne, I'm flattered, but I can't move to Australia. Well, fast forward an additional several years, and Leanne is coming to the U.S., and she wants to open up a U.S. branch of ODE. And we have lunch. And I've always, at the time, I'd been interested in the management side of the business for a very long time. And we weren't really set up to do that at SME. So we couldn't open up that type of division. So I left SME really good terms, but after lunch with Leanne, I decided to join up. She was doing it better than anyone else that I've seen, for as far as companies that have a bureau and opened up a separate management company.
Yeah, for sure. Leanne is a powerhouse. What's up, Leanne? Hope you're enjoying the episode. I think we had her on last season 1. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, we're really excited to have you come in and share your insights too. And 25 years on the bureau side. Is that 25 years at SME?
It is 25 years.
Oh my goodness. So SME, was that more like was that like professional speaker based bureau, or was it like more entertainment based? Like what type of bureau was it?
We booked headline entertainment. We booked top name keynote speakers, and we booked sports personalities for corporate events.
Nice.
I would say, as far as number of engagements that we booked, keynote speaking was most, followed by entertainment, followed by sports personalities. When I first started, it was sports personalities were number one. Matter of fact, the company name was Sports Marketing Group when I first started. And then we expanded into business speakers and then into entertainment. The background that I came from was entertainment, and the background of the president of the company was entertainment. So when we had it was the International Health and Racket Sports Industry Association. I still remember this.
Wow.
I had booked speakers for them for about 2 years. And they came to me and said, we're not booking a speaker this year. We're more interested in a comedian. And I said, I went to Corey Shapoff, owner of SME, and I said, why can't we do that? What's the difference? You were with William Morris. I was with Warner Chappell. Let's do it. And the first comedian we booked was Jim Carrey.
Wow,
right
very
after Ace
cool.
Ventura: Pet Detective came out. And
Wow.
the movie came out, and no one was expecting it to do what it did. And as ironic as it is, the studio wanted him to go to Australia and New Zealand to promote the movie, and he canceled on us. So our very first entertainment booking, and the talent cancels.
Oh,
But
Oh,
dang.
we booked a buddy of his though, named Richard Jenny, who is an amazing comedian. One of my favorite people to work with. I really miss him, and he was $10,000 less, and he wrote about 20 minutes of custom material just for the health and racket sports industry, and they loved him. So it all worked out in the end, but it's like, hi, welcome to Booking Entertainment.
Yeah, wow.
yeah, such an interesting story, man. I love that. And you've really seen the whole spectrum too, and at sort of like the peak of it, really. I mean, it's obviously such a massive industry that serves really small businesses and huge corporations. And I mean, you've seen sort of what I think a lot of people consider sort of the sexy end of this industry, which is really cool. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, most
Um,
people think the entertainment side is the sexy part, but
yeah.
when
But
you're at the event,
always a but, huh, Arnold?
when you're at the event and you're meeting the music personality or the comedian, it's a lot of fun. But there are there's a problem with every single entertainment corporate event booking that happens. Something's going to happen, and it's how you deal with those things that pop up that you're not expecting, that makes you good at it or not good at it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm excited to get into the what makes you good at it and not good at it components here. However, this is a tradition here at Speaker Flow. Anytime we
Mhm.
bring on somebody involved in the agent, bureau, management sort of space, we ask for your definition. It's almost become like a trivia game or something that we're playing here. And it's
Sure.
because it seems like everybody has a slightly different line
Different
in the
take,
sand
yeah.
between these things.
Right.
So,
So
Arnold, from your
I,
perspective, step up to the plate here.
I can give you a firsthand example of how being a bureau agent is a bit different than being a manager.
Mm,
So when I was a bureau agent, I booked any speaker, right, or any entertainment. In my case, there aren't very many companies that are like SME that book entertainment speakers and sports personalities and do all three of them very well. So I have a unique perspective from that. But we could book any speaker. We didn't have any exclusive speakers. Management side, the bureaus are our customers. They're our primary customer, actually. We do more work with bureaus than we do with direct clients. We still do business with direct clients, but bureaus make up the bulk of our business. So what I do for the speakers on the management side is I make them easier to work with for the bureaus. Uh,
mm.
I also help guide their career and give them advice on topics, books, any type of content they're putting out. A great example just happened. We were on like 4 or 5 content calls with one of my speakers. His name is Mark Schulman. He's the drummer for Pink, and his main keynote is hacking the rock star attitude. How to ignite rock star performance in uncertain times. So he's a lot of fun.
Cool.
He's a great speaker. We were on 4 or 5 consecutive content calls with him where either the meeting planner or an executive at the company said something to the effect of, this meeting that we're having, we're getting, together for the first time in person since the pandemic. So the idea just hit me for a new topic for Mark, getting the band back together. And we've just started it, and it's we haven't even announced it officially to all our bureau partners yet. But for the few that we have talked to, it's been very, very well received because it's targeting something that's happening right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah,
Super
relevancy there.
relevant.
So
Yep.
that's
That's
one
what
way
matters.
a management company is different. I helped Mark create that topic and develop it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
That
actually a perfect analogy, perfect story to sum all that up, huh, Austin?
Yeah, that's something that I actually never have expected a speaker manager to do too. Like I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
a lot of people connect speaker management to like logistics more than they would
Mhm.
connect it to content and message. So that's interesting. Is that a you thing or is that a common speaker management thing?
I would I, that I actually don't know the answer to. I mean, I do know that in general, a speaker manager is there to guide the speaker
Yeah.
through their career. Uh, my opinion is the biggest thing a speaker management does is make the speaker easier to work with for speaker bureaus. That's number one. But as far as coming up with creative, I can't say what other people do, but
Yeah,
Sure.
you
for
know,
sure. So is it
Yeah.
exclusive to like bureaus only that speaker managers will work with, or is it also like one-off clients that'll come, or
yeah,
do managers
we do
also like
work with
book
direct as
like
well.
okay,
We don't market to direct as much as we market
okay,
to bureaus, but
I
speakers
see.
have websites. Clients come to
Right.
their website. They come,
They'll pass
and
it off.
that comes back to me. For example, if someone goes to markschulman.com, clicks on his form, it comes to me.
Hmm,
Nice. Okay.
got it.
That's
So
that
That
we
makes
makes
do
sense.
sense.
that as well. But like I said, the bread and butter for us is our bureau partnerships.
Okay. That
Okay.
makes sense. So it's not like an active like sales organization, kind of like what a bureau might behave as. Like
Correct.
you're kind of yeah, it's more facilitating with bureaus than what comes inbound and then helping them
Hmm.
manage beyond that point.
Yep.
Okay. Nice.
We consider bureaus our partners in the
Yeah, for
business.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want this conversation to do a couple of things. Obviously, I want it to shed light on the type of work that you do, but I also sort of want to humanize you because I think a lot of speakers think of, well, I'm just going to go get a speaker manager or and I think that we forget the fact that that's a person behind that. And so, can you just tell us a little bit about like you and your job and your day to day? Like, what does a typical day look like for you, a speaker manager?
Well, I do talk to a lot of bureaus in my day, during my day, either by email or by phone. Um, it depends on the day and what I'm focusing on. If it's
Yeah.
speaker development, then it's things like getting the band back together and working on those ideas. But most of the time, it's about getting word out about my speakers to bureaus and to handling any other incoming requests.
Hmm.
Yeah. Kind of like just
Okay.
facilitating between the
Mhm.
speaker and the bureaus and business, basically. Like a bridge is what it really sounds like.
Yeah, that's a good way to
Yeah.
describe it.
Okay.
Okay. Nice.
So, what makes you really good at doing that? Like, what makes a really great speaker manager a really great speaker manager?
I'll tell
And
you
what makes a really bad one?
what
Sure.
I think my secret sauce on this is that I have a background from the bureau agency. So
Yeah.
I know the psychology of being a bureau agent. So I know everything that I would want
Mm,
from a management company if I were the bureau agent. So we try and do that. One of the biggest things, I think, one thing that separates Ode from other management companies in particular, and from other speakers directly, even, is I am, and Leanne is the same way because she owns a bureau in Australia. We are obsessed with spin-off and getting
yeah.
spin-offs back to the bureaus because it never happens. Yeah, I could count on one hand how many times another speakers bureau in a co-broker situation sent back a spin-off engagement. And we've done, I think the count is over 400 of them at this point. It's a
Wow.
lot. We've done a lot. I might even be understating that number, but it's a lot.
Wow, that's incredible. So, can you define that for our folks who maybe not be as so eloquent with language? So
Sure.
spin off in the
Spin-off,
context of a bureau and then giving it back to a bureau. Can
uh,
you break that relationship down?
absolutely. I have a good example of it too. Uh, uh, a speaker goes and delivers a keynote to, say, an industry association of
Hmm.
accountants, and there's somebody there in the audience from KPMG, and they decide, wow, he's great. We're going to bring that speaker in to speak to our company as well. That would be a spin-off example of one. We had one where a client just recently, called and wanted to book, it was Mark Schulman again, actually, wanted to book Mark for an engagement. We asked the meeting planner how they found Mark, and the meeting planner said, "Oh, we went to his website." So that's a direct client. We're going to deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then on the content call with the CEO of the company, he says, "I'm a big fan of Mark." And I say, wait a minute. How can you be a big fan of Mark? And I say, "Did you see him before speak?" And he said, "Yes, I saw him at this event." Well, that event was booked by a bureau in Mexico. And the client didn't know any of this, but I called the bureau in Mexico and said, "Hey, I've got a surprise for you." And
Nice.
it already been booked. It's already been contracted. It's already done. There's no way the bureau's ever going to know about this. But I called and let them know, "Hey, we found out that this was a spinoff on the content call. We didn't know it before, otherwise we would have sent it to you right away. But here's a commission check for $3,600." And
Wow. That's how it's
he
done.
said, the owner of that speakers bureau in Mexico said, "Nobody has ever done that for me before." And when we were at the IASB meeting last year in Miami, he brought me a very nice bottle of tequila to say thank you.
Oh, that's how it's all about
That feels good.
relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So do you
Well, we
think
hear
that
that all the
bureau,
time
do you
too.
think that speakers bureau is going to call us back and put our speakers
Of
at the top
course.
of their list?
That's exactly
Absolutely.
right. Yeah.
But
Well, we hear it.
I told him though, he was like so thankful. And I said, I said, "Yeah, I love you, but honestly, I'd do that for any bureau. You don't have to bring me a gift. You don't have to bring me a gift."
Yeah.
And he said
Yeah, bring me more clients.
he did anyway.
Oh, that's super
That's
cool.
good.
Oh, yeah. It's just partnerships, Like
Mhm.
we hear even like with speakers who work with bureaus, like sometimes we even hear people complain about like, yeah, but if I get a bureau gig, I'm gonna have to like maybe like if I get spin-off, I'm gonna have to, and it just perpetuates, and then I'm gonna have to like continuously give commission checks. And
Mm.
people will diligently not track that information or won't even ask the question because they want to keep as much of the money as possible. But
Mhm.
it's such a short like sighted way of looking at that relationship,
Mhm.
like telling the bureau that, hey, we've got this because of an event that you helped me book in the first place. Thank you. It's only going to solidify the relationship
Yeah. And
between you
Taylor,
as a
you've
speaker.
just brought up another really good point that differentiates a speaker management company from a bureau. So, say for example, a speaker wants you're a smaller independent speakers bureau, and you want to book a particular speaker that's exclusive with another speakers bureau. Generally, that's
Yeah.
called a co-broker situation, and you have to split the commission with that bureau. Usually, it's either half of 20% or half of 25%. So you're either getting 10% or
Mhm.
12.5% commission on it. With a speaker management company, or at least most, I should say, they'll pay the full commission. So it's like
Wow.
going to the speaker directly. You're not getting a reduced commission by booking a speaker who's managed by a speaker management company.
Mhm.
Hmm. And is so just for the financial logistics of people who are considering, well, do I get a speaker management like manager one day? Like, how does that process work? Do you pay for that? Do I just do
Mhm.
commission? What's the financial relationship between a speaker and a speaker management company?
Generally, a speaker management company will get a smaller percentage of the engagement. Um,
Mhm.
I'll tell you, when the pandemic hit, it kind of flipped our business model. It just flipped it. It really impacted it. So
Yeah.
there were, obviously we switched to virtual keynotes, but there were fewer virtual keynotes, and the dollar value of each of those fewer keynotes was
Went down.
less. So
Yeah.
a lot of bureaus were really, really, really struggling then. And we tried something with the virtual keynotes. but we basically started charging a net fee. And this is not common on management companies. Most management companies are quoting the gross fee and telling the bureau what their commission is going to be. In our case, with our net fee, we said, and this was only to bureaus that we trusted and enjoy working with. We didn't offer this to every bureau, but the ones that we like working with, the ones that we trust, we said, look, this is a net fee. This is what our speaker wants to net. You have the freedom and the flexibility to charge whatever commission you'd like on there.
Nice.
And there was one time when a bureau called and wanted to book one of our speakers for a virtual keynote, and it was $5,000 net to us in this situation, and he charged the client $10,000. However, the normal fee for for an in-person keynote for that speaker was $15,000. So the event planner got a good deal on the presentation. The bureau was able to make a little bit more than he would have otherwise, and the speaker got an amount that he was happy with. So it depends. That was the most extreme case we had. Most of the bureaus out there, our fee structure is designed so that if you add 25% commission on top of the net fee, it's going to equal the same gross fee that we're going to charge to a direct client. So there's price consistency that way. Bureaus are very concerned about that. They want to make sure that if their client calls me directly, that they're going to be quoted the same price. And that's how we do that. Because most bureaus are going to be charging a 25% commission in that situation.
Right.
We structured the net fee to accommodate that.
Nice.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I know that's something a lot of people have questions about too. So you probably just shedded light on something that a lot of people have wondered about, which is great. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and look, we're
helpful.
probably one of the only management companies doing that right now. But and we've extended that now to the in-person engagements because we've gotten such great feedback from bureaus. Sean Hanks, the CEO of Premier Speakers Bureau, we were on an IASB call, and he actually brought it to everybody's attention and used me as an example of just trying to do something different and creative and innovative. And I really appreciated that because he didn't have to do that. But the fact that the president of one of the top speakers bureaus in the country is recognizing it and liking it was very reaffirming that, hey, maybe we're on to something here.
For sure. Yeah. You're a trendsetter, Arnold.
A little bit.
So we've talked about a few ways that you can make a bureau really happy. Let's talk about the other side of it. Like what's a horror story you can tell us about not delivering the results that maybe a bureau wanted, or a botched relationship? Give us an example of something not to do.
Well, I'll tell you there. I can give you an example from what happened to me and how I handled it afterwards. Once again, it's our friend Mark Schulman. He was on tour with
Poor
Pink.
Mark. You're going to have to send him this episode, Arnold.
He was on tour with Pink, and he had booked a keynote in Mexico City during one of the off days. And we had it planned out. Travel was no problem. And it was booked for a long time. Well, just before that event, we got word that the tour manager didn't want him to do that keynote in Mexico City. And the reason was the next tour stop was Chicago, and they were having really bad weather. And he was concerned that Mark wouldn't be able to get from Mexico City to Chicago. And we had to cancel. And it was the only engagement that we had to cancel, on short notice, right at the last second. So how do you deal with that, right?
Yeah.
My goal in that situation is to make the client happy that it happened. So what we did in that situation was we got on the phone. We found another speaker, buddy of Mark's, to do that keynote at his fee. And then Mark agreed to do a future keynote for that company at no cost and a future date. Actually,
Wow,
no
nice.
cost. They paid $2,500 travel and drum rental buyout, but that's it. No speaking fee. And they liked the replacement speaker. They did a great job, so they were happy there. And then Mark came to and did an event for them in Cancun, and they were thrilled at the end of it. But
Wow.
Nice.
canceling last minute
Wow.
is tough.
That must have like
Ooh.
just made your heart sink. Like that's just a gut drop type of moment,
It
huh?
was not fun at the moment. No,
Yeah,
I was
for
freaking out.
sure.
I was freaking out
Wow.
about that.
Well, he handled it
Totally.
like a champion. That's
Yeah, and
amazing.
I like the
I
way you
mean,
frame that too. Make them happy that it happened. That's
yep,
Hmm.
what a simple way to break that down.
Yeah,
for sure. Creative
yeah.
problem
We
solving.
tend to if something bad happens like that, I want to over deliver the solution, and
Yeah.
that's my goal is to make them thrilled that this horrible thing happened.
Yeah. Well, hey, sometimes you just need a good reframing, you know?
Yeah,
Fortunately, it
that's
has
right.
not happened very often.
That's good. Yeah,
Yes.
well, I mean, like you said earlier, you know, you just have to be prepared for what can happen because chances are something's going to happen. So, just
For
about
all
how you handle it,
the
right?
people out there who book entertainment, I've got just a really horrible thing that happened. Story. This was when I was at SME, and I'd been there a long time. I was one of the senior members. One of our junior members booked the band Collective Soul to perform for an insurance company on at the Hard Rock Hotel in Punta Cana on the beach. So
Wow.
I went with him just to be a fly on the wall, just to offer guidance if he needed it. But it was his event; he was in charge. Um, so I was actually in my room sleeping, and got a call from him at 7 in the morning, saying, "Hey Arnold, you better get down to the beach." I go, "Why? What's the matter?" And he's like, "Just get down here." They had a freak high tide that washed away half our stage. This is day
Oh
this is
Oh
my
day of show.
God.
no.
So
I just got goosebumps. Oh my goodness. I felt that pain. Holy
so
cow.
I went there, I was like, "All right, Eddie, I'll take over from here."
As you do.
And,
Oh.
we had to make some really hard decisions. And, um, at later little bit later in the day after we had assessed that situation, the group was out on a group activity. They were on in a Jeep dune buggies on the beach somewhere out there. We got the president of the company on the phone and said, "Look, here are your options." The hotel had a big patio on the right adjacent to the beach. Doing it on the beach was not an option. We could not get it done. There was no way to do it. Um, but we could build a new stage on that concrete patio adjacent to the beach. So that was option one. Uh, Option two was they had another group in there in their ballroom the night before, and they hadn't struck any of the sound or lighting. It was all there already, as well as decorations. They had a giant guitar over the entrance to the ballroom. It was very well themed, and that was an option. The hotel agreed to give it to us at no cost. Um,
Wow.
so Eddie was on talking with his client and asking what he wants to do, and the president picked concrete patio by the beach. He really wanted that beach engagement, and really hard thing to do is get on the phone or meet with the CEO of a company and have to say you're wrong, you're making a wrong
Yes.
decision.
Yeah.
And I asked Eddie afterwards. I said, "What would you have done in that situation?" He said, "I would have done what he said and put the stage on the beach and you know
Mhm.
did the best we can." So I got on the phone with him and I said, "Look, we can do it, but it's going to look like we threw it together at the last second because we're throwing it together at the last
At the
second,
last
and we're
second,
going to have
yeah.
a very stressful day the entire day. However, if we move it into the ballroom, everything's set, it looks gorgeous. We're going to have an easier day than we would have had if this never happened. And it's going to look like we planned it to have it in the ballroom the entire time. You should have it in the ballroom." And he listened. We moved it to the ballroom and had a great show.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Quick
amazing.
thinking. Holy
Yeah.
cow. What a
Quick thinking
journey.
is right. I mean, like there's so many things there. There's observational skills, you being able to communicate across all these different people. I mean, like the logistics involved there to make that decision and move everybody over and get
Mhm.
everything prepared. I mean, what a project. I'm not envious, I think is what I'm trying to
No,
say
that
here.
was
Like
No, yeah,
that was a very
I'm really
stressful
grateful to go
moment.
solve the problems I have right now. So thank you for the perspective. Yeah.
I'll tell you, but you know, the way to look at this, that stage was going to get washed out whether we were there or not.
That's right. Yeah.
But how we handled it, not every company is going to handle it that way. Not every company is going to say, to tell a company, you're making the wrong decision. You should
Right.
have it in the ballroom, right? I think that's
Yeah.
where you really get a chance to shine and show your value.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. You get some respect built too.
Yep. So we're getting close to wrapping here, which is really
I can't
sad
believe
because
that. That
there's
really
so
just went
much.
by
I know,
quick.
right?
I think we say that every
Um,
episode.
I know our
Should do something about
listeners
that.
are sitting here going, "Oh my gosh," licking their chops. Like I just have to hire Arnold. Not everybody. Not everybody.
Leanne's not going to like hearing that.
Well, I mean, yeah, you gotta be at the right stage probably to benefit from you. Not everybody is at Mark's level. So
Mhm.
from your perspective, the person doing this, like who is the right fit for a speaker management company?
I I really don't think that someone just starting out uh, should seek out a management company unless it's a brand new management company that they're starting out too. I think
Hmm.
that works well. I think we do our best work with enhancing what a speaker already has. Uh, so the speaker already has a pretty good business. We're there to make it better. Um, I think one of the strongest things that we offer is our relationships to the speakers bureaus. And strongest
Hmm.
thing we offer to the speakers is our relationships with the speakers bureaus. Both Leanne and myself have been part of IASB for I don't know how a very long time. Let's just leave it
Decades. Yeah.
at that. So we know just about every speakers bureau in the world. I'd say. I mean, every major one anyway. Um,
Hmm.
and that's valuable. And that would be valuable to the speaker just starting out too. But I think that a speaker just starting out should concentrate on getting engagements, setting up relationships with as many speakers bureaus as they can. But sometimes the speakers bureau is reluctant to take on those speakers as well. There's a couple of bureaus out there that will not book a speaker if they're less than $10,000.
That's
It's not
right.
worth their time. They won't bother with it.
Especially when you're working on commission all the time.
Mhm.
25% is $2,500 a gig. That's a lot of work to do for $2,500 a gig. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta make your money somehow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Well, thanks for breaking that down. That's awesome. So, just in addition to this, I think some people, like a lot of speakers, and then just pulling from my own experience here, like people who are starting out, let's say people maybe sub six figures. These are
Mhm.
the types of businesses that maybe aren't ready yet for a
Mhm.
speaker management company. I think once you maybe get, and correct me if I'm wrong, Arnold, maybe $200,000 or so a year, your own bookings, then it's
Mhm.
maybe time to consider it based on what we've heard from other managers and things.
Yeah,
But I think
that's pretty
people under
close.
that threshold are often like, well, I'm just gonna go to get a bureau first. I want to focus on getting as many bureaus as possible. Maybe not realizing that bureaus don't really serve speakers; they serve clients and then source speakers. They're like more
True.
of the product. Do you recommend that people source bureaus first or managers?
That's a tricky question. Which comes first, right? Um,
Yeah.
my opinion is focus on your content first. Get your content
Mm,
solid. Speak in front of as many audiences as you can. Do a TED Talk. TED Talks are great. TEDx Talks, I should say. You're not going
sure.
to get on the main stage at TED.
Yeah.
um, uh, do a TEDx Talk because you now instantly have a demo video too. That's a good length. It's instantly gives credibility to the speaker,
Mm,
and it's recognizable and it's going to be high quality. So if you don't have a demo video and you're looking to get started, do a TEDx talk. That's a great way to do it. Go speak for hospitals or organizations. do events. YPOs do events where they're looking for speakers that are low cost. Get as many of those as you can. And then the speakers bureaus are going to be more interested in you as well.
Yeah, nice. That's perfect advice. Thank you. Very tactical, super easy to follow. You heard it here, straight from the source, you guys. So don't ask us about bureaus unless you're ready for them. So I'm just kidding. I kid. Okay, Arnold, we could talk for hours and hours and hours. Of course, we've got to call it at some point. So thank you so much for joining us today. This has been incredibly impactful. I've just learned a ton, and I think you've painted some really great stories and analogies to how this industry shapes up. And I know so many of our clients just don't really have a box for how all these relationships kind of combine into a web, and I think you've done a really great job breaking that down. So thank you for doing that. If people want to learn more or connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can email me directly, arnold@odemanagement.com. That's ODE management.com. And that's also a website as well. You can see all the speakers that we manage there. It's www.odemanagement.com.
Heck yeah. Well, rest in peace, your inbox. And thank you so much. I'll make sure that link to Ode is, of course, in the show notes. So you guys definitely go check Ode out. An incredible company supported by some incredible people. And hey, if you like this episode, don't forget to rate it, like it, subscribe to it. And if you want more awesome resources like this, go to speakerflow.com/resources.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much for chiming in. I just wanted to take a second to thank our sponsor, Auxbus. Auxbus is the all-in-one suite of tools you need to run your podcast. And it's actually what we run here at SpeakerFlow for Technically Speaking. It makes planning podcasts simple. It makes recording podcasts simple. It even makes publishing podcasts to the masses simple. And quite honestly, Technically Speaking wouldn't be up as soon as it is without Auxbus. Thank you so much, Auxbus. And if you are interested in checking Auxbus out, whether you're starting a podcast or you have one currently, get our special offer, auxbus.com/speakerflow, or click the link below in our show notes.
Thanks for tuning in today. Check the show notes for more info and see you next time. Later.